right, welcome everyone. I'm glad that you guys are with us today. We have a great presentation that's entitled Burning Up Instead of Burning Out. And what I want to talk to you today about is how to have that passion burn and fuel inside you, as opposed to being burnt out because you're stressed out because of so many issues that you may have in your personal life, some of the issues that you have from the job, family, and personal issues like that. All of those things combined can cause a person to burn out. However, I want you to remember your why and your passion. And we're going to talk about everything from emotional health to social health, physical health, and mental health. I want you to be an active participant in this workshop. So what I would like for you to do is take out your cell phone and act as if you're sending a text to 22333. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up your text messaging, and where it says 2, you're going to type in 22333. And then where it says text message, in that little box at the bottom, you're going to type in Dr. Don Parker 294 and hit send. And once you do that, you should get a confirmation text saying that you've joined Dr. Parker's session. All right, so if you guys would be so kind to do that for me. Again, type 22333. That's where you're going to send the text to. And then in the text message field, you're going to type Dr. Don Parker 294 and hit send. And you should get a confirmation text saying you've joined Dr. Parker's session. And once you're able to do that and you get the confirmation, do me a favor, type in the chat. That lets me know that you're in. And once everybody is in, we're going to go ahead and get started, because that is the way you will participate in our live polls throughout the session. And the live polls just gives you an anonymous way to interact and share your thoughts and your opinions and gives you voice to the message. All right, looks like most people are in. That's really good. And guys, feel free to leave your cameras on or off, whatever you prefer. However, I will ask that you leave your microphones muted until I ask you to unmute, because I want to hear your feedback. And also, if we go into a breakout session, then I'll ask you to turn your camera on, so it's more personal when we have our meetings and discussions. But right now, if you feel like keeping your camera off, by all means, keep that camera off. And then when it's time to come on camera, I'll ask you that you turn that camera on for a little bit. All right. My name is Dr. Don Parker, and I used to be a PE and health teacher at Chicago Public Schools. And I remember when I went on my interview to become a PE teacher, the principal interviewed me, and he said that I was going to be a great fit for the PE department because I had a lot of experience playing high school and college sports. And then over the summers, I was a day camp recreational provider. And he said, the PE teachers that we have at this school now, Don, all they like to do is just roll out the ball and let the kids play basketball. There's no fidelity in the program. So I want to hire you so you can bring fidelity to the program. And you're also going to help out with our extracurricular programs, because we also have a lot of coaching openings, and you will make a great coach for our after-school coaching program. So I said, perfect. I'm looking forward to it. I did all my lesson plans, and I was looking forward to getting inside that gym and teaching sports like basketball, floor hockey, flag football, swimming, and volleyball, and all these great sports. But when I went to teacher orientation, it was the time right before lunch when he handed everyone their upcoming schedule for the first semester. So when he handed me my schedule for the first semester, it said first period health, second period health, third period health, fourth period health, fifth period lunch, sixth period plan, seventh, eighth, ninth period, all health. And I was like, whoa, this is in direct conflict with what the principal said, because he said I was going to teach all PE classes. What's up with this schedule? So I went over to him. I said, excuse me, Mr. Principal, and remind you, I'm this 21-year-old kid, just graduated college, and I got the nerve to complain about my schedule. I said, yes, sir. I said, I want to talk to you about my schedule. He said, Don, what's the problem? I said, well, you spoke to me during my interview about how you were looking forward to me bringing fidelity to the PE program, and you were looking forward to me teaching sports in the gym. And he said, yeah, what's the problem? I said, well, look at my schedule. My schedule have all health classes. He said, well, Don, I'm sorry to tell you, this is something that they didn't teach you in undergraduate. He said, but Here we have something called seniority, and none of the veteran teachers wanted to teach health because they didn't want to grade papers, they didn't want to study for tests, they didn't want to deal with classroom management. And so since none of them wanted to teach health, you have to teach health because there's something that's called seniority. And you, my friend, are the lowest on the totem pole. I was like, oh, like, here we go. So I had to do what I had to do. He said, you have the health endorsement. He said, it's on your transcript. You're well-versed, you can do it. And if something changes, I'll let you know. So I started back to the drawing board. Instead of having all those great lessons in sports that I had planned, I had to execute the health curriculum. So I went back to the drawing board. I got my health lessons ready. And when I got in that classroom after a few weeks, I loved it because the students came to me and they was like, hey, Coach Parker, I really enjoyed that lesson that we did on grief because recently I lost my abuela or my grandmother, and I've been feeling very sad. But you taught me about the 5 stages of grief and how I can deal with it as I go through it. And you taught me how to build a shrine in my room. So every time I think about my grandmother, I think about her smiling down on me. I remember the lessons that she taught me. And I know that she would be proud of the way that I'm living. I live to make her proud. So thank you, because I'm feeling a lot less pain as I go through the grief process. Or they say, hey, Mr. Parker, I really enjoyed that lesson that we did on refusal skills, because I get a lot of negative peer pressure, especially when I was at a party this weekend. People were trying to get me to smoke and drink and do all these other things that I wasn't comfortable doing. But you taught me how to say no and have people respect my boundaries while still maintaining my friendships. And so I really appreciate that, because had not have been for those refusal skills, I wouldn't be happy with myself right now, because I would have made some bad decisions. Or they say, hey, Mr. Parker, I really appreciate that lesson that we did on self-esteem, because sometimes I don't like the way I look. Sometimes I feel like I'm not as pretty or as attractive as some other people. And you taught me that comparison is the thief of joy, and how I should just be proud of who I am, and I should just do things, and how real beauty is on the inside, and how I should just continue to focus on my skills and my goals. And then I start feeling better about myself. And so now I feel a lot better about myself, and I feel my self-esteem and my confidence going higher, because I've been doing things and hobbies that I enjoy and increasing my skills. And so when they told me that, I felt like, man, I am really making a difference in these students' lives. If you guys can relate to that, go ahead and type 5 in the chat. Just go ahead in the chat and type the number 5 if you can relate to what I'm saying. If you really get charged and you really get energized because you're making a positive difference in your students' lives. Absolutely. I see a lot of 5s going in the chat. That's awesome. And so at the end of the first year of school, the principal came to me and he said, Don, guess what? We have a teacher that's taking a job at another school, and it opens up a whole schedule of PE classes. So I want to know if you want to teach these PE classes next year. I was like, you know what, Mr. Principal, thanks for thinking about me, but I want to stay right here in this health classroom. And the reason I love the health classroom is because if you guys know anything about health curriculum, it's a lot to do with social and emotional learning. And so as I began and continued to teach those health lessons, I learned more and more about social and emotional health and how to help my students make better decisions. And that led to me becoming the Dean of Students at Hillcrest High School, where I taught behavior to students and enforced discipline rules and policies. But most important, I think my job was to help those students make positive choices that would give them the best result in the end. And so I talk to students a lot about scenarios, how to go through scenarios, what if scenarios. And so I wanted them to make healthy decisions so they can have a brighter future. And eventually that led to me becoming an assistant principal. And then I became an athletic director at Rich Central High School out here in the South Suburbs. And currently I'm in my 6th year as a principal, and I'm author of the book, Building Bridges, Engaging Students at Risk Through the Power of Relationships. And so my dissertation was on what are the best methods and strategies to use to keep at-risk students from making poor decisions to decrease their discipline referrals. And what the research taught me is that authoritative counseling and building relationships were the number 1 and 2 things that you can do to help students make better choices. And that just opened up a lot of doors. And now I go around and I do a lot of workshops and personal development on how teachers can build positive relationships with their challenging students to decrease their negative behavior and to increase their student achievement. And recently I earned my superintendent certificate, and I'm glad to be here presenting with you today. All right, so let's move on. I just want to show you guys a brief video of what an in-person workshop looks with me. I appreciate doing Zoom. I appreciate doing virtual workshops, but I really love doing in-person workshops because you get to know the people a little bit better. It's more personal, and you really get to talk to people, meet people, and network. And I really love that because I'm a relationship guy. So this is what an in-person workshop looks like with Dr. Parker. Let me make sure I'm sharing my sound, and you guys can turn up the volume on your devices and just give you an idea of what an in-person workshop looks like with me.
You ready? Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. He doesn't need his name up in lights, he just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat of the mic. He feels so unlike everybody else, alone, in spite of the fact that some people still think that they know. But no, he knows the code. It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story, making sure his click stays up. That means when he puts it down, Tuck's picking it up. Let's go.
All right. And so the reason I show that is because the participants in my workshop, they work together, they talk, they open up, they network, they share. I don't like to think that I'm the smartest person in the room. I know a lot of you guys have some great experiences professionally and personally. I want you to take advantage of those times during our breakout sessions to really share with one another so we can maximize our learning during this workshop. There's a copy of my book, Building Bridges. It's published by Solution Tree, and the book is about engaging students through the power of relationships. This is my family. All right, that's my wife, Claudia, to the right. And right next to her with the blue glasses, that's my daughter, Danae. She just turned 14. And the daughter next to me, that's Rhonda Renee. She just turned 11. She has autism, and I'm talking the severe type where she has a severe speech delay and an intellectual delay. But what my family does is we really rally around one another to support one another. My wife is a professional photographer and videographer, so she makes sure that she gets us in the right wardrobe. She makes sure that the sunlight outside is just perfect. She makes sure we're smiling all good, and then she captures that magical shot. And so us being members of a family where we have a professional photographer, we have to go through wardrobe and her doing the girl's hair and me getting all shaved so she could get the perfect shot. Although we get tired of it, in the end, it's worth it because it's helping her do family portraits, which she loves to do. And like I said, we rally around one another and support one another. And so you guys aren't my immediate blood family, but you guys are my educational family. And so I want to help you. Just like I support my family, I also want to support you because you're my educational family. And I know that we need a lot of help during this time because I know that there is a lot of stress right now. If you feel like this is a stressful school year, do me a favor, go ahead and type stress in the chat. Open up that chat. If you have been stressed this year or any other year in the last year and a half, just go ahead and type stress in the chat. Because from what I hear, educators are stressed out. And the reason I say that is because I like to really keep up on my research. And recently I read a study, and the study surveyed over 300,000 teachers. And it asked the teachers, what emotions have you felt as a result of the coronavirus, and also as a result of students coming back to in-person learning with the daily rigor of your job? And the words that the teachers used the most to describe their feelings were stress and anxiety. So I understand how that feels because I was a former athletic director. And as an athletic director, you guys know we work hours from the sun up to the sundown. I was in the building by 7:30 every morning, and I was leaving on an average around 8:30 and 9 o'clock at night. And on Friday nights, when we had Friday night lights, you guys are familiar with Friday night lights, those high school football games and those high school basketball games. Sometimes I was there at the school shutting down the stadium until 11:30 at night. And it was ongoing. It just never stopped because football season was shared with volleyball season. And then after that, we rolled into basketball season where we had those late night varsity basketball games twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week if there's a tournament. And then guys, even on weekends, we would have to open up our facility and people would use our facility for different events. Here's an event of Special Olympics that used our gym. And so I have to come into work on Saturdays to open up the gym for people who contracted to use our gym. And I'm telling you, it was nonstop that I was at that school more than I was at home. I was working around the clock, day in and day out. And I just felt so stressed that one day I felt myself getting sick. And I was just working hard, working hard, working hard. And I wasn't even paying attention to the physical toll that I was taking on my body. And so this was right around Thanksgiving. We had just finished football season and we were rolling into basketball season. And I wanted to be at the first boys basketball game of the season because they were playing in a tournament over at Marian Catholic. And so I said, okay, well, I'm not feeling well, but I'm going to go to this game. Our game starts at 7 o'clock. I'm going to go to the game. I'm going to watch the game. And then what I'll do is either, go to the doctor that evening or in the morning. But as I was at the game, I was in the middle of the game and the pain just got worse and worse and worse. So I just had to leave. So I rushed and I went straight to the emergency room. I just explained to the doctor what I was feeling. And the doctor said, well, I don't know what's going on, but we have to do a CT scan if you're having this pain in your side. I had this pain that was debilitating. Like every time I took a breath, the pain just shot even harder. I didn't know what it was. I had never felt it before. So I went to the doctor. The doctor did a CT scan because they couldn't figure out why I was sick because I was relatively healthy and I didn't have any preconditions. And so what the doctor did after he did the scan, he found out that I had a condition that was called diverticulitis. And what diverticulitis is an inflammation inside your colon where you can get pockets and your colon can get infected. And when they looked at the CT scan results, he said, wow, he was like, you have diverticulitis. And then he asked me if anyone in my family had diverticulitis. I said, Doc, what are you talking about? No one in my family has diverticulitis. I said, if they did, they would have told me. Like my dad is still alive. He never talks about diverticulitis. My mom is still alive. She never talks about diverticulitis. I have great relationships with my uncles. They never mentioned diverticulitis. I said, what the heck is diverticulitis? He explained exactly what it was. And the only way he could explain it is he said, it's brought on by stress. He's like, if you don't have any preconditions or you're not pre-exposed to it because you have this in your family heredity, that means this is being brought on by stress. He said, you young man, you need to change your lifestyle. I said, Doc, what do you mean I need to change my lifestyle? I said, I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I don't cheat on my wife. I'm living a healthy lifestyle. He said, you don't drink? I said, no. He said, well, maybe you should. And obviously he was joking, but he said, no, seriously. He said, what this is stress. He's like, no more joking around, son. You need to change your lifestyle. And so I did. I started eating healthier. I got back into exercising and I spent more time, just trying to be more healthy and getting more rest. But I fell right back into the trap, right back into the routine. And before you know it, this is what happened to me. My battery kept running low. Now, I tell you, I hate when my cell phone battery runs low. And sometimes I feel like I'm just constantly attaching myself to an outlet because I don't want my battery to run low. So I always want to make sure that I'm near an outlet so I can keep my battery charged because I get a lot of phone calls. I don't want to miss anything. But guess what? I was the same way with my life. I felt I had a fear of missing out. I didn't want to miss anything. But as humans, we can't recharge our battery just by sticking ourselves into the wall. And I told the doctor that I felt like I was feeling better. And this was over the summer when I was feeling better. He said, yes, because you're being treated. That's why you're feeling better. But as soon as I take you off this medication, or as soon as I take this IV out your arm, you're not going to feel better. He's like, because you're going to fall back into this routine. And he was right, I did. And so the point is, we don't do this to our cell phones. We wouldn't let our cell phone battery die. So why are we letting ourselves run down to where we don't have any more energy? All right, I didn't have any quality time with my daughter. At this time, my daughter was 5 years old, all right in kindergarten. This is me and her. You see, I have on my school gear. I had to rush from my job to rush to her school event, all so I could just turn around and rush right back to my job to run a school event. All right, this was my life, ripping and running from pillar to post. And it was no good because it was wearing me out. I was on the verge of divorce with my wife. I mean, my whole personal life was about to collapse because she felt like she was managing everything at home while I was constantly at work. I fell into the same trap, just too busy. I wasn't spending quality time with her. She was taking care of the student school. She was taking care of the finances at the house. She was doing everything that the kids needed. And then we had a second child, and she was just like, man, I would have never married you if I was going to be just single, because I feel like I'm doing this by myself. And I felt awful. And then all of a sudden, this pain kicked in again, where I just felt my intestines just constantly being inflamed. And I was, in and out the hospital trying to get this anti-inflammatory medicine for my diverticulitis because I wanted to treat it the fast way. Instead of doing what I needed to do and being more healthy and eating healthy and getting more rest, I was just popping these antibiotics, and it was dangerous. And so the next thing you know, I was at an event. And again, I started feeling that pain. And this time I was taking the medicine, but the medicine wasn't working. And I was feeling more and more sick as I was there running a high school basketball game. And the pain just wouldn't go away. I couldn't even fake it. I couldn't fake it. I had to have one of my coaches drive me to the emergency room. And when I got to the emergency room, they did another CT. They said, we have to rush you to emergency surgery because you have a perforation in your colon that's going to pop. And if it pops, that means you're going to be septic. And if you go septic, that means there's nothing we can do for you. You're going to die. And I was just perturbed. And so they rushed me to emergency surgery. I had the emergency surgery. He said, the warning was, if anything goes wrong, you're going to have a colostomy bag. He said, I'm going to try to fix it so I can sew and reattach your colon. But if you can picture a water hose, what they did was your colon is like a long hose. They cut out almost 2 feet of my colon. They cut all that bad inflammation out, and then they sewed back the two ends of the water hose. So they cut out all that infection. And so that surgery lasted for a half a day. And then when I woke up from the surgery, the doctor just had a come to Jesus meeting with me. And he said, young man, I've seen you in this emergency room time and time again. He said, I was giving you CT scans. I see your diverticulitis was progressing. He said, you have to change the way you're living or you're going to die. He put it plain and simple for me like that. He says, if you don't make changes right now, you're going to continue to rip and run, and you're going to run yourself into a place where I can't help you, and you're going to die. So he said, change your ways. And boom, I had a paradigm shift. I said, I'm not only living for myself, I'm living for my wife and for my kids. Also, I feel like I was making an impact on the students' lives who I had daily contact with. I had great relationships with my staff. And so I said, I'm living for more than just myself. And I said, my family and the people who are close to me, they deserve the best of me and not what's left of me. So I made it intentional to be more healthy with my lifestyle. And there it is again. And now I'm healthier. My family is growing up. We're progressing. And I feel better because now we're more cohesive. And I have better relationships with my family. There's another family portrait. And now I'm in a better place now. And so what the coronavirus and the pandemic did for a lot of people, it made them get into that stressful situation where teachers are, instead of, doing their regular job where they're getting to work by 8 and leaving by 3, sometimes 4, now they found themselves in front of that computer from 7 o'clock in the morning all the way into 7 o'clock at night, where they are just trying to figure out the new remote learning, trying to accommodate their students, trying to spend extra time learning new technologies and things like that, learning Pear Deck, learning how to do Kahoots, and learning how to do all these other educational technologies. And they were stressing out. And what the coronavirus did, it also took away people's stress reliever. Because me, what I love to do, I love to go play basketball. I love to go work out. But as you guys know, the gym shut down. We couldn't play basketball because we had to social distance. It wasn't safe. And so one thing that I know about certain situations is it's like we are in situations and they can even make us tougher or they can make us soft, just like this picture. It says the boiling pot of water, it can even make the potatoes soft or it can make the eggs hard. And so what it did for me is it actually made me stronger because I had to go through a self-reflection process all over again. And so what I want to help you do today is go through a self-reflection process. We're going to talk about the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. We're going to talk about how you can address your fears effectively. And then I want to talk about why vulnerability is necessary to alleviate your stress. And then if necessary, we'll take a 5-minute break. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about the importance of communicating your physical, intellectual, and emotional needs and how you can address those needs. And then we'll learn ways that we can be creative to help build that passion, to give us more energy for completing our goals and living our purpose in life. And then we'll talk about the importance of identifying your purpose and passion so you can perform at a high level. Now, like I said, Yale and Cassell, they teamed up to do a study. And that study showed that educators were stressed out and they was feeling so much anxiety. Over 80% of people responded to this survey, and they said that their feelings were the same. They felt stressed out, they were worried, and they didn't know what to do with themselves because they couldn't find healthy ways to cope. And so when we talk about the difference of in-person learning to remote learning, this was a mind shift. And a lot of people, they really were having anxiety about going into the classroom because they didn't want to get sick. They didn't want to be exposed to germs and things like that. But at the same time, they were torn because they didn't really want to do remote learning because they weren't comfortable with the technology. They felt like they really couldn't give students all they needed in remote learning because they were so used to doing in-person learning, and that's where their strengths were. So here's my question to you. Through life, we are going to have to make a lot of changes. I want to know, what is your normal response to change? And here's where you can participate in the poll. So what you can do is you can look at the poll results and you can continue to add to those poll results. What you can do is you can go in that text and you can type in the letter A, B, C, D, or E as to your response to change. A, do you question it? B, do you deny that it has to happen? C, do you panic and worry about it? D, do you freak out? Or E, do you embrace it? What do you do in your response to change? All right, I'll give you guys a few seconds to go ahead and give your responses in this poll. And I'm seeing a lot of people is consistent with a lot of my previous workshops where they question it. A majority looks as if they panic or worry, which that's a negative response to change, especially men. We are the worst when it comes to change because we have our routines, we have our structure, and we want to stick to our routines because we basically know what to expect. And when change happens, sometimes you don't always know what to expect. You don't always know what to do. And so there's a saying that says, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And so what I want to do with you guys really quick, I'm going to stop my screen share. I'm going to ask you guys to turn your cameras on. What I'm going to do is some breakout rooms. And what I want you to do is participate in your breakout rooms. I'm going to keep you in these breakout rooms for about 3 to 5 minutes. And in these breakout rooms, I want you to talk about maybe some changes in your life that has taken place that have caused you to panic or worry. And just, this is a point where we can be vulnerable. Now, I don't know if you guys know each other on this call or not, but this is where we have to be vulnerable and share what changes have we had to deal with recently and how have we dealt with those changes? Because chances are somebody has also gone through those changes with you. Now, like I said, when I'm in person, we do a lot of group work and we learn from the group. So I want you guys to learn from each other. I want you guys to support one another as well. So I'm going to create these breakout groups with about 3 people in the group. So each one can have a chance to share out. And then what I want you guys to do is appoint a facilitator of the group and then appoint someone who can share out. And so we'll ask 1 or 2 groups to share out what the consensus of the group is. All right, so what I want you to do is discuss what changes have taken place in your life recently and what kind of anxiety you have toward those changes and how you dealt with it. All right, so I'm gonna put like 3 participants per room and go ahead and join the breakout rooms, and I'll see you guys back in a second.
like she too young, don't want no man. So she gon' call her friends, now that's a plan. I just saw that sushi from Japan. Now you wanna kick it, Jackie Chan.
All right, guys, let's talk about some of the things we discussed in our breakout session. What is some of the source of the anxiety from the changes that you've had to endure? All right, maybe we can have one or two spokespersons. We'll take one or two people who can just share out what the group said, and then we'll move along. So who would like to be a spokesperson? All right, again, anybody want to share, just summarize the conversation that you had in your breakout session.
So I know for my group, we kind of talked about like the shortage as in for teachers and, just not having enough teachers there to come help out with the classroom. So, other teachers having to take on more kids, more responsibilities and everything.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is a main source of stress. And I think I was in your group and I told you how we have a shortage of teacher assistants in my school who can work with our special ed population, our self-contained class. And I hired someone the previous week. She got a background check cleared. She started that Tuesday, called off Wednesday, called off Thursday, and emailed me a letter of resignation on Friday. And so now I'm down like 2 or 3 teacher assistants. Every time my teachers call in, we don't get subs. And so me and my APs are now substitute teachers. So we're in a classroom teaching classes and we have to split other classes where there's no subs. I had 7 teachers call off on one day and only 1 sub. And so me and my assistants took 3 of the classes. So it's me and 2 assistants. So that's 3 classes there. We had to split the other classrooms. And that's stressful for the other teachers because now they have more students in their class who they don't really know. And so that is a stressful time right now. There's a shortage of substitute teachers, shortage of bus drivers, shortage of aides. And I've never started my school year in 6 years. I've never started a school year being short-staffed without a certified teacher in every room. And I was proud of that. But this is the first year where I actually had to start the school year without a certified teacher. All right, so who else would like to share?
I will speak.
Okay, go for it, Frida.
What we spoke about the pandemic in general and how it has changed things. I work at a preschool, and going from in person to this Zoom was new to me. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not a technological junkie. I don't care for it, and having to learn how to do the Zoom program. I'm the assistant, but I still had to be on there. But having how to learn how to do stuff, I'm old school. I didn't care about this stuff growing up, but having to learn, oh my God, I had anxiety. I was nervous. I was a wreck. But then when I learned it, it's like, oh, okay, it's not so bad. But that initial shock of having to do something different, and then the kids having to do Zoom with 3 and 4-year-olds rather than in person, some of the kids, it just was not happening. Me and my co-worker felt that we wasn't doing good enough because some of them was paying attention, some of them wasn't. Some days they come, some they didn't, but we had to look at it to see that we did the best we could, and that's all we could do.
I thank you for sharing that. I'm sure so many people can relate to that. That is so true. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Now, would anybody else like to share before we go back to the presentation? Okay, so let's get back into the content. And I thank you guys for sharing out. Okay, so yes, change is difficult. Now, the coronavirus shutdown was difficult for me too. It's difficult for a lot of people. And during this time, as teachers, as educators, whether you're a teacher or an administrator or a teacher assistant, it's easy for us. We've learned how to have those crucial conversations, whether we're having a heart-to-heart conversation with our spouse or with our kids or with a coworker, with our students. Me, when I'm doing teacher evaluations and I have to have a crucial conversation with a teacher about an issue that's going on, I'm very comfortable with that. I've learned how to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. So maybe have that crucial conversation with people. But however, when I was doing self-reflection, I found that it was tough to really reflect and have that crucial conversation with myself. If I'm being honest with myself, there's a lot of things that I need to work on, which every individual, there are things that you have to work on within yourself in order to live your best life, in order to live your most productive life, in order to reach your dreams and goals. And sometimes we have shortcomings. And so during this coronavirus pandemic, where I couldn't go play basketball, I couldn't go work out, I couldn't go out and do fun things, I felt myself like in a room alone many times. And since there was nothing else to do, nothing racing through my mind to occupy what I was thinking about, I was thinking about all of my shortcomings and things that I wanted to do and some goals that I had. And so there's a saying that says the only way is through, or if you're going through hell, you better keep going. All right. And if you have to go through the test in order to reach the testimony. So I had to really go through this period of self-reflection to like really look at my life, to examine my life and figure out what it is that I needed to do. What work is it that I need to be done? Now I want you guys to look at this building. And this is an example that my mentor showed me just recently. If you look at this building, this looks like a beautiful place to live, right? This is a building in Miami. There's a beautiful view of the ocean. There's beautiful palm trees, beautiful balconies, all right, those large windows to let in that beautiful sunlight. That's a beautiful building, all right? If you like that building, if you wouldn't mind vacationing in that building or living in that building, go ahead and type live in the chat. Just go ahead and type live in the chat. If you think that's a nice building, you wouldn't mind vacationing in that building, you wouldn't mind spending time in that building, because from the outside, that building looks very nice, right? It does. But guess what? That's the building that we saw in the news that, yes, very sad. That building fell apart. And the reason that building fell apart is because on the outside, it looks nice, but on the inside, there was some structural integrity issues that weren't addressed. And so I say this to say that on the outside, a lot of people are walking around and things look good. Things look as if we're walking through life wearing rose-colored glasses. And on the outside, everything is great. Everything is good. We can put on fancy clothes. We can do our hair. We can do our makeup. And we go out, we present this smiley face in front of people. But on the inside, we know that we're crumbling apart, because just like the engineers and the architects didn't do what it was necessary to fix the inside of the building, and so then it crumbled. It's the same thing. Humans are the same way. If we don't address the problems that we have internally, then on the outside, we won't be able to hold it together for too much longer. And we're going to have a breakdown. We're going to fall apart. And this is true because I had a teacher. She started at 8 o'clock, just like all my teachers start at 8 o'clock. She would show up to the building at 7:45 because she knew it was important to get there, because you guys are familiar with the saying, to show up on time is to be late. And to show up on time is to be late. Show up early is on time. She would show up at 7:45. However, she would sit in her car until 7:59 and walk in that door at 8 o'clock to sign in. Well, one day 8 o'clock came and she never came in. We're like, where's Mrs. So-and-so? And then next thing you know, we see an ambulance that's right outside her car, getting her out the car because she was having a nervous breakdown. She didn't address what was going on inside. And all of a sudden it came crumbling down. She had a nervous breakdown because she had so much anxiety and stress. So we have to address the inside, guys, so we don't fall apart. Now, this is me before getting in shape. I had a lot of work to do. I don't even want to tell you how much I weighed because it's embarrassing. And then I said, okay, if I'm going through the self-reflection process, I know I need to work on my health. I know I need to start working out. I got to get back in the gym. I have to start being healthy again. I did the work. Internally, I was messed up because it was messing with my self-esteem. I didn't look the way I wanted to look. I didn't feel the way I wanted to feel. Didn't have the energy to do what I wanted to do. I had to get back into the weight room. I had to start working out. I had to start jogging. I had to spend time on a treadmill. I had to eat healthier. And that's what I did. And now I'm in this shape because I was able to do the work. So we have to address our fears and we have to do the work. And that's what I want to talk to you about now. Fear isn't necessarily a bad thing, because fear lets you know that, hey, there's something that's worrying me. There's something that's concerning. It's like an alarm that goes off that lets you know, hey, there's something wrong here. There's something that we need to address. But how do we productively face our fears so that our fears don't get the best of us? Because fear can also be debilitating. And I'm sure you've heard of the phrase, a deer in the headlights. And that deer sees that car coming right at them. And instead of doing what's necessary in order to keep themselves safe and continuing to run across the road, they get stuck right there. And then the next thing you know, we see a roadkill in the middle of the highway. All right, because the person was paralyzed by fear and they didn't do what was necessary. They end up suffering a crisis moment. I've been there, I've done that. I don't want you to do that. So how can you face your fears? And so there's an activity that you can do. It's called Fear in a Hat. And the way you do this activity is you say the thing that I'm most afraid of is, or what I fear the most is. And then you say what that thing is that you fear the most. And it could be something that's in the back of your mind. It's maybe not a fear like a fear of snakes or, arachnophobia, fear of spiders, but it's something that you worry about. So sometimes it's financial fears, sometimes it's health fears, sometimes it's fears what's going on with your parent. And so when I do this exercise, what I have to do is I have to think about what is it that I fear the most. And so I told you guys that I have a daughter with autism. And so what I feared the most is what her future is going to be like. And so ever since we got the diagnosis from the doctor that she had a severe intellectual delay and severe autism, then I said, what is life going to be like when me and my wife are not around to take care of my baby girl? That literally kept me up at night because I love her so much. She's so precious. She's so kind. But she was young. I had these fears. Even during the coronavirus, I thought about it often. I was like, what's going to happen? And so then when I thought about that fear, I said, what is it that I fear? So what I want to ask you guys is, what is it that you fear the most? Take out your phone, go to that text strand again, and go ahead and type in, what is it that you fear the most? Go to that text strand, go to the text box, that same strand where it says you joined my session, and what is it? And I'm going to go ahead and type in what I just told you. My daughter's future. So that's what I feared. And it's going to pop up right here on the screen. See, boom, there it is. I feared my daughter's future. I want to know, what is it that you fear? All right, somebody said another major health issue. That was one of my fears too. It was. I didn't want to be back in that hospital after having a surgery, a fear of failure. All right, that's a common fear that I hear a lot of people have, is a fear of failure. Health issues, absolutely. A lot of people had the fear of health issues even before the coronavirus, but now you have even a greater fear because those health issues are exacerbated with that coronavirus. A lot of people had these underlying conditions, and then when they caught corona, it caused those underlying conditions to be even greater. My husband's health is declining. My transgender daughter's safety, fear of financial instability, yes, failure. My husband's cancer diagnosis. And these are all really real fears that we are faced with. People have a lot of things going on in their lives that we are unaware about that they deal with every day. And so just a quick sidebar, if you can picture a continuum, a straight line, okay? And then if you continue, look at a straight line, and then you take just 1/3 of that line. And they say that's that 1/3 of the line. So the person's life is that entire line, but we only know 1/3 about that person. There is a lot of things that's going on with a lot of people right now that we don't know about. And so I feared my daughter. Here's my daughter, Rhonda Renee. And she, when I thought about it, I had this fear. And then when I was talking to my life coach says, well, what you have to do is like, think about what can you do about this? What is the real root of the problem? And he said, if you think about the real root of the problem to your fear, then what can you do about it? And so basically he told me that I had to read in between the lines of my fears. And when I read in between the lines and went down this road of inquiry and followed this fear and looked it in the face, what I was really afraid of is that I wasn't doing everything I could do as a parent to empower my daughter to give her a brighter future. And so when I came to that realization, then I had to start thinking about, how can I prepare for her future? So I started looking at my estate planning. I started looking at my life insurance. I started looking at our benefits. And so I did everything I could do in order to affect her future so it would be more positive. So I was dragging my feet on getting her ABA therapy. So I made sure she had ABA therapy. I called the insurance company on the back of my card, spoke to the services director, and I scheduled my daughter for ABA therapy. My insurance is covering it. And then I put away money for my oldest daughter education. And then what I did, I set up a trust for my daughter, and I put the trust in my oldest daughter's name. So if anything ever happened to me and my wife, we have life insurance policy, and that money goes into a trust, and my daughter can use it to get the needs that my youngest daughter will has as she continues to grow older. And so we did investments. We looked at our life insurance, we looked at our benefits, and we looked at my oldest daughter's education, and we looked at ABA therapy for my daughter. And after I did that, guys, I said, okay, now I can be more relaxed and enjoy my time that I spend with her. And what it did, it brought me to a place where I can be empowered, because I could take matters into my own hands and I could prepare. Instead of waiting for the crisis to happen, I could prepare for the crisis. There's a saying that says, when you're at peace, that's when it's the time to be prepared for war. And so right now, guys, when we were going through that pandemic and we had more time on our hands, we could take matter into our own hands so we can prepare for the future. And so what we have to do is not feel like we're powerless. What we have to do is think about what the future looks like and what we want it to look like, and how we can have any influence to dictate what that future may be. And we can take matters into our own hands so we don't have to continue to worry about this, because we have more of an idea of what that outcome would be like if we take positive actions to have that effect on the future. And what it did for me, it just brought me to a place of resolve where now I could take a deep breath and I could be at peace, because I know that I'm doing what I need to do in order to affect the positive outcome for my daughter's future. And so when I'm at work, I can be more productive because I can think about work instead of worrying about my daughter. When I'm out with my friends and family, instead of being worried about, oh, I got this thing lingering in my head, now I could just relax and enjoy that time and actually get some rest and peace and actually sleep at night and enjoy a great night sleep because I'm not worried about something. And so sometimes that beef will hang around like an unpaid bill if you don't address it. So what we have to do is take matter into our own hands, think about what that thing that is that we're worried about, and start doing anything that we can to affect the positive outcome. So in order to do that, we have to be vulnerable. So why is vulnerability necessary? Well, I'm gonna tell you, I was the principal at Lincoln Avenue School in Dalton. And that was a rough neighborhood, low socioeconomic neighborhood. And the reason that I started this mentoring program, because I found that a lot of my students didn't have positive male role models in their lives. And so what we did, me and a community volunteer, we started a mentoring program. My students came to our mentoring program. And like I said, when I'm working with groups, I like to have big groups broken down into smaller groups. And those smaller groups can discuss their experiences with one another, just so they can see that they're not alone in what they're dealing with. However, when I got my students in the groups, man, these kids were so hardcore, they did not want to be vulnerable at all. And so they'd be in their groups and they would either not talk at all or talk about something that was off topic. So think about Alcoholics Anonymous and how powerful that is. When people can get strength from people who walk in the same walk that they walk, people who are experiencing the same issues that they experience. And they come out of that meeting feeling a lot more strong and a lot more empowered to face their day, face their week, face their month or whatever, or meet their goals of sobriety. So I explained this to my students, but they didn't get it. They still wanted to be hardcore, and I shared what they had going on in their lives. And so we talked to them about real life issues. We opened up, we modeled what it's like to open up. I shared my experience when I was their age, things that I was dealing with, being from a broken family, feeling that I wasn't smart enough to do the academic content, having fear of people making fun of me because of the way I look. And it worked a little bit, but it didn't work all the way. And so one thing I did to really get them to open up, I did this balloon activity. And so when I did the balloon activity, I took a balloon and I blew the balloon all the way up. And I said, guys, every time I blow a breath into this balloon, this is a stressful situation that's going into this balloon. So I use an example, dealing with gangs, all right? Having poor attendance in school, having poor grades, your mom and dad fighting at home, all right? Not getting along with your peers, not feeling like you're good enough, feeling inadequate, not having positive coping methods. And I would blow a breath into that balloon every time. And then as the balloon got bigger and bigger, I said, guys, what would happen if I continue to blow air into this balloon? They said, well, Dr. Parker, it'll pop. I said, you're exactly right. And that's what it's like when you continue to hold all of this in. You're dealing with all these stressful situations. You're dealing with family issues. You're dealing with living in poverty. You're dealing with food insecurity. You're dealing with poor grades. You have a fear of failure. You have a fear that people don't like you, that people are going to talk about your clothes or talk about your haircut. And you have all these fears and you're holding all of this in. And if you continue to hold it in, you're just going to blow up and you're going to pop. And I said, now think about this, guys. What if I just took all this air in this balloon and I just let it all out at once and I just let the balloon go? They said, well, Dr. Parker, that balloon is going to spiral out of control. I said, you're exactly right. And that's what's going to happen if all of a sudden you can't hold it in anymore and you're going to have a breakdown and you're just going to spiral out of control and you're going to start doing all these negative coping methods and you're just going to spiral out of control and your life is not going to reach the place and the potential of what it could because you didn't talk through these issues. But guess what, guys? Adults are the same way. We're holding all of this in. And then when we do let it out, we're finding ourselves having breakdowns. And so with my staff, when I talk to my staff and I counsel them, I did this workshop for my staff and I would talk to a staff member and I would say, how are you doing? And that staff member would say, I'm doing fine. And then what we really know is what fine is an acronym for feelings inside not expressed. And so then I take my hand and I put it over their shoulder and I'll say, no, really, I want you to tell me, how are you really doing? And we're going to the conference room, we're going to my office, and I have a box of Kleenex. And the teacher opens up, and it's like they're telling me all these things that's going on. And it's just like, you feel sad, you feel bad for the person because they're experiencing so much. We have to talk to one another. We have to really express what's going on, what we're dealing with. Because if nothing else, what it does, it leads us through a path of inquiry, we can come up with the solutions on our own, or it just feels good to just let some of that stress off of your chest. So how do we communicate our physical, electrical, and emotional needs? All right, there's something that's called PIES. All right, PIES, and that's an acronym. All right, so tell me, you see these PIES on the screen, just real quick, so we can lighten the mood. I want you to type in the chat, what is your favorite pie? Go ahead and tell me, what is your favorite pie? I'm going to type in here what my dad's favorite pie is. Boom. He loves pecan pie. My dad just loves pecan pie. Every time he watches my kids or has to pick my kids up from school for me or cover for me, when I come home, I make sure I stop at the local grocery store and I pick him up a pecan pie because he loves pecan pie. So I see cherry, strawberry rhubarb, blueberry, apple, lemon. Sounds good to me. I love those pies too. All right, but we're not talking about eating pies, but thanks for sharing your preference. We're talking about PIES. And if you see this at the bottom left corner, PIES is the acronym for physical, intellectual, and emotional. And if you're spiritual, physical, intellectual, and emotional, and spiritual health. All right, those are areas of health that we need to be concerned with. But what I want to talk to you, though, instead of spiritual, what I would like to do with you guys is talk about your physical health, your emotional health, your social health. And then instead of talking about spiritual, since this is an educational forum, we have to remember the separation of church and state. You can do the spiritual on your own. You know what you need to do. Let's use that S for support. So what kind of support do you need when you talk about your physical, emotional, and your social health? And then we can have that S stand for support. And so I did this exercise with my staff. I said, you guys are going to work in groups of 3, and you're going to talk about your physical health. You're going to talk about your intellectual health. You're going to talk about your emotional health. And then at the end, we're going to ask you, what support do you need? How can we support you? All right. So what is one word that you guys would use to describe your physical health? So you would take out your phone, you go into that chat, and you could use a word to describe your physical health. So some people say it's under construction. Workshop participant in the past says good, decent, fair, needs improvement. So go ahead and type, what is one word you would use to describe your physical health? And I'm going to go ahead and respond. All right, I just responded in there. I'm waiting for it to pop up on the screen, but it says getting better. Yep, I see it right there. Right there, it says getting better. Someone said mediocre. I think that's a new word. Decent, average, overweight, making progress. Okay. Healthy. Some people said unstable. All right. There's a wide range of levels of health in this group. Okay. So let's move on. Let's do a self-assessment. So in this workshop, what I did was I shared a packet with you that you're supposed to get. And it's a companion packet. And there's the link to that packet if you don't have it. So if you can click on that link sometimes, then you can open up that Google Doc and then you can print this off. What this packet does is when you have time to reflect, you can really sit back and you can write down, okay, right now I rate my physical health as blank. And when I was sharing my story earlier, I rank my physical health as poor. And then the things I need to do most to optimize my physical health is what? I need to eat better. I need to exercise. But that's only part of it. That's the easy part. We all know that, right? Yes. All right. We all know that. However, what do we really need to do? We need to make ourselves a priority. We need to carve out time. We need to do a time management plan, whether it's waking up early in the morning to work out before we get a shower and get to work, or whether we carve out time in the evening, or get somebody to watch the kids, or make a schedule where we have protected time for ourselves to do some exercise. So we all know what we need to do to eat better. We all know what we need to do to exercise. However, we don't know how to do the thing to free us up. So we all know what we need to do. So you have to write down what your plan is going to be. And here's an example. Here's a picture of me running this workshop. And you see people on their phones participating in an online poll and having discussions about their health. If we was in person, we'd be having this discussion right now. So yes, exercise is great. If you think of exercise, your body is like your vehicle. It gets you to where you need to go. You have to take care of that vehicle though. All right. So real life story. My engine light came on in my car. I was too cheap to go and get my car fixed because I know what the dealer was going to charge me in order to fix my car. I didn't take the time to do it. And now I'm going to have to pay even more money in order to address my car. All right. It's the same thing. Yes, living a healthy lifestyle can be more expensive. However, if we neglect it, then it's going to get even more expensive to address the problem. All right. So we have to think about that. Now, in respect to time, I'm going to have you do this poll. How would you rate your emotional health? All right. What I want you to do is take out your cell phone. And I want you to take up that QR reader on your phone. I don't know if you have that app or not, but if you take and you open that app and you put your phone next to that and you scan that QR code right there, you will pull up an article. And this article discusses why LeBron James spends $1.5 million on his body every year. All right. LeBron James spends $1.5 million on his body every year. And what is he spending that money on? Nutrition, massages, personal trainers, and all these other things to help him perform at his optimal level. So he makes over $41 million per year, but he can take that 1.5 million and spend it on his body every year so he can be in his tip-top shape. Now, I don't want to waste your time because I only have a few more minutes with you. We have 25 more minutes left in this workshop, and I want to get in all this content to help you optimize your life and live your purpose. So I can't spend too much time, but I want you to do though, I do want you to take your phone and copy that QR code and then take time to read that article just so you can see why he spends that money on his body, because he knows if he wants to have longevity, if he wants to be his best, if he wants to be in his tip-top shape, then it's worth him making that investment in his body because it's going to pay off in the long run. Same with you. If you make that investment in yourself, it's going to pay off in the long run. So me, for example, I like to lift weights. I like to play basketball. I'm getting older. I'm 46 years old now. Every time I play basketball, I pay for it because my knees and my muscles are aching the next day. And so what I did in the past, just like when I had to mask the feelings I was feeling with my gastrointestinal issues, I would mask that pain. I would use Tylenol. I would use an anti-inflammatory. But now that's kind of what caused my stomach lining to go bad, because I would be at work. I would get stressed out, I would just pop 2 Excedrins. I would just pop some Tylenol. I need to feel better. I'm taking more and more medicine. And it ate away at my stomach lining. And that's one of the issues that the doctor said, this is why I'm experiencing gastrointestinal issues, because of stress and because of taking too much medicine. So now I know how to be natural. So yes, going to the health store and spending money on these products are expensive. It is. However, I feel like I'm worth it. I can do that for myself because I want to be healthy. And I know as long as I'm healthy, I can make more money. So it's an investment. And so I want you guys to make that investment. Get a good multivitamin. All right. Get some natural products that's going to help your body perform at a higher level. You see Prevagen over there. Prevagen helps my mind stay sharp. My uncle died because of complications of Alzheimer's. And my mom right now is suffering from early dementia and Alzheimer's. And so I said, Doc, you know, this is running in my family. I see a pattern here. I said, what can I do? He said, you can start taking Prevagen. I went to the store, I started buying Prevagen, and I take that. My wife looking at me like, Don, you taking this? You're only 46 years old. I said, hey, look, like I said before, at the time for peace is when you prepare for war. I'm trying to prevent this thing because I want to keep my mind sharp. And now I take whey protein, which fuels my bodies and my muscles. I take a Mega Man vitamin, multivitamin every day. And so those are some things that we can do. Don't be afraid to spend the money because you're worth it. Emotional health. How's your emotional health? All right. Think about that. What do you need to do to optimize your emotional health? Now, I was doing good with the physical health, but I found out when I was at the gym, I'm getting stronger, but then I still be somewhat stressed out. So you see those headphones hanging from my shirt, right? So now when I'm in the gym, I kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I used to listen to rap music because I love rap music. But now what I would do is I would listen to a sermon, I listen to a podcast, or I listen to a motivational speaker. I'm doing something that fuels my inside so I can build up my inner man just as strong as I'm building up my outer man. Because like that beautiful condo crumbled, I don't want my internal self to cause my external self to break down. So I go to church, I listen to the pastor, I listen to sermons while I'm working out because I can't really see myself coming home and just turning on a YouTube and just listening because I'm looking around at all the work that I have to do. And so what I do is I take advantage of my time. On my car ride to work during my commute, it's the same thing. I pull up a good podcast or a good motivational speak by Eric Thomas, and I listen to something that really fuels me. All right. So what's one word that you would use to describe your social health? All right. Do you find yourself being socially distant? Is it poor? Are you spending time really investing in your relationships? What is the state of your relationships and your social health? Okay. Go ahead, respond to that in the chat. I see some people said decent, okay, poor, or you're remaining socially distant. Looking forward to connecting with friends. It's improving. That's great because we need that, guys. Relationships are so important. It's so important. So we have to keep those relationships going. There's a quote that says you can measure the life of a man by their relationships. Missing in action. Okay, so that means you're spending a lot of time in isolation. All right, we're not good in isolation, guys. We have to have relationships with people. A few good relationships. All right, a few good relationships are better than a lot of relationships that are shallow. All right. So in that sense, I will give you the phrase that quality is better than quantity. So that's okay. You're on the right track. All right. So what do we need to do our social health? And then S, what support do you need? All right. Think about what support you need and go get that support. Block off that time, guys. Now, change. We talked about change, how we reacted to change. Change can sometimes be for the better. Sometimes change is necessary. And sometimes we have to make changes. Look at this. I want to ask, what changes do you need to make in order to enhance your life? And what changes have you already made that has enhanced your life? So we're not saying you have to change totally as a person, because just like me, if I really did an assessment and an inventory of all of my great qualities, you know, of course, they will outweigh my bad qualities. However, if I can start addressing some of those bad qualities, that will enhance my life. You don't need to change altogether because you have so many great things about you already. You've contributed to this world in so many great lives. You've impacted so many lives and people who you come in contact with. You're there for so many people. But what changes do you need to do to enhance it, to make your life better for yourself? Think about it this way. All right, this is the same room. This is before and after. All right. So what I want you to do is do an inventory and think about all the great things that you already have, and think about the areas of life that you need to enhance, and think about what vision do you have for your life? What vision do you have for your life? If you could close your eyes right now and think about what would your ideal life be like, and get that picture in your head. It's the same thing if you're remodeling the kitchen. You have an idea of what you want it to look like before you start that remodel. And then next, you have to be able to afford to do it. Invest in yourself. Second, it's not only, you have the second thing to paying for it is the labor. You have to do the work. If we don't do the work, we're going to continue to be the before. And if you want to enhance and live your best life, that's why you have to pay for the labor. You have to do what's necessary for yourself to have that vision come to fruition. All right, so how can we do this? What are some ways we can become creative? All right, guys, what I want you to do is start a vision board. Maybe some of you guys have had vision boards already. If you have already did a vision board, or if you have a vision board, just say done. Write the word done in the chat, so I know how many people have practiced doing a vision board. I have 1 or 2 people have done vision boards. Now, this isn't my vision board. This is a vision board that I pulled down off the internet for this presentation. But if you can see, this person wants to live their best life. All right. If you read the things on that vision board, they want to make more things, or more great things in their life. All right. They want love. There's a quote on there that says, "Be relaxed. Love is now bigger than ever." All right, everyday beauty, make healthy happen, energize. They have a picture of Oprah. They want to bless people. All right. They want to have peace of mind. They want to meditate. All right. This is what their vision is. They want to have a nice car. All right. You see money on there. They want more money. And so when I've practiced the law of attraction, I find that if we focus on these things and we speak these things, then what the thing that's missing, the missing ingredient, is the belief. Do you really believe that you deserve this in your life? So you have to make that vision board, put everything that you want. And if you believe that it can happen, then you will work towards it. And so my friend recently moved to Dallas, to a nice suburb in Dallas, because he wanted this different lifestyle. He wanted a slower pace of life. And so when he moved to Dallas, they live in a beautiful community. And so instead of the mailbox being right there at their home, the mailman puts the mailbox in each one of their personalized mailbox. And so he went to get the mail, and he was working the key, but the key just wasn't working. And I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. And if you're on camera, I just want to look at you in the eye, just so you can understand the power of belief. And so the key wasn't working to the mailbox. So he called his wife. He said, "Babe, are you sure you gave me the right key to the mailbox?" And his wife would say, "Yes, I guarantee you it's the right key because I used it yesterday. It works." And so what he had to do then, now he's more intentional since he knows it's the right key. He believes it works. So he started doing whatever he needed to do. He started being a bit more forceful. He was wiggling the key. He was making adjustments. And all of a sudden the key went in and it turned and it unlocked the box. Guys, your belief is the key to unlocking the life that you need for yourself. If you don't believe that you deserve those finer things in life, if you don't believe that you can attain them, if you don't believe that you can achieve them, then it's not going to happen. So yes, I want you to put it on your vision board so you can see it. Then I want you to speak it. Then I want you to believe it. Believe in your heart that it can happen, and it will happen for you. All right, let me start my screen share once more for you guys so we can move to this content. I really wish I had more time with you guys, because I wish I can go deeper into these principles. All right, readers are leaders. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. All right, take time to read. There's a quote that says, "The person who doesn't read has no advantage of a person who can't read." All right, we don't have to think of everything new to do or how to figure it out. We can read self-empowerment books. We can read books that give us information on things that we're learning about, or you can do the new reading. You can pull up a YouTube video to find out what it is that you want more information about. Now, leaders, we have to delegate. I used to think I could do everything by myself. All right, I was trying to be an octopus and juggle multiple things. All right, delegating is so important. And even my boss told me to delegate more responsibilities to my 2 assistant principals. Leadership is communicating people's worth and potential so clearly that they come to see it themselves. All right, we have to let other people believe in themselves and give them more to do. I want you guys to do your weekly schedule. When you do your weekly schedule, make sure that you take time, manage the time, carve out hours for you in your schedule so you can be more productive. As an idea, I was going to show my weekly schedule, but I don't have it up there. But my weekly schedule, it carves out at least an hour or two every day. Think about it. If you have 7 days a week, and I had 2 hours a day, that's 2 times 7. That's 14 hours. That's small in comparison to a regular week. In a regular work week, you're working a 40-hour work week. Do you mean to tell me you can't take 17 hours for yourself in order to either relax or do something that's personal development or spiritual or emotional or physical health? You have to carve out time for yourself and make yourself a priority. Next thing I want you guys to do is control your subconscious mind. So your conscious mind only operates at 5%, but your subconscious mind, what you really believe, is 95% dictates the action that you take and the way you live your life. Your subconscious mind controls all the systems in your body. Everything that happens is because of what you really believe in your subconscious mind. Now, on the top of my mind, we can say we're going to exercise, but in our subconscious mind, if we know that we don't have the energy and we know that we don't have a place to go, and we know that we really aren't going to do it because we don't feel like doing it, then our subconscious mind is going to win that battle every time. So what we have to do is learn how to control your subconscious mind. So I want to know, go in this app on your phone, and are your subconscious thoughts positive or not? If they're positive, if it's true, then go ahead, put A and hit send. If your subconscious thoughts are not positive, then go ahead and put B and hit send. All right, I want to take a toll of the room. Are your subconscious thoughts positive or not? All right, how do you really feel about yourself on the inside? All right, so I'm glad that a lot of people's subconscious minds are going up to 50, 55, 53%. So we're like half and half. But I'm going to show you why it's important to control your subconscious mind. Here's what your negative thoughts will tell you. Your negative thoughts will say, I'm average. Your positive thoughts will say, I'm a great person. Your negative thoughts will say, I don't have the energy to work as hard as I need to in order to accomplish my goals. However, if you have positive thoughts, your subconscious mind will say, I have the inspiration and determination to do what it takes to achieve my personal and professional goals. All right. Your negative thoughts will say, I will never be as good as them. Your positive thoughts will say, each person has their own gifts and talents, including me. And comparison is the thief of joy. I don't have to worry about what they're doing in this classroom. That's so great. I don't have to worry about their finances. I don't have to worry about their level of fitness. I have to focus on my own because I deserve everything good that's due to me as well. My father told me that the mailman is coming down the street, and God is like your mailman. He's going to stop at every single house to deliver what's yours. And I don't want you guys to do what my mentor warned me not to do. And he said that you shouldn't have to work for your inheritance. You need to go out there and you need to take what's yours. You need to demand it. And you need to do everything that's necessary in order to live your best life. There's no reason why you shouldn't be at your optimal level because of all you get. What you put out there in the world is what you get in return. So you're taking care of those students, you're taking care of your family. So in turn, you need that to come back to you. However, we minimize those blessings to us because we put these negative thoughts out there in the universe, and those negative thoughts are coming into fruition in our lives. So I want you guys to say positive things. So take your phone, screenshot this, and every day I want you to make a confession of all these positive thoughts. They have to be so much stronger than the negative thoughts that they're draining them out, because that's what you deserve for yourself. You have to have a growth mindset. And in order to do that, you must decide that it's wise to start your journey of self-improvement and change yourself for the better, and have that growth mindset. Instead of telling yourself you can't do it, tell yourself you can do it. All right, self-awareness, self-management, self-learning. Before I move on, let me go back to this. Just let me tell you what I told my students the other day. I told them about this fun story that I read about a man who wanted to purchase an elephant because he loved elephants. He went to the elephant farm and he saw that these elephants had a stake that was tied around their ankle. And these are huge elephants that weigh thousands and thousands of pounds. And the man said, hey, if these elephants wanted to just pull their ankle and break off this little rope that's tied to the stake, they could break off and you would lose all your elephants. He said, how come these elephants just aren't freeing themselves and going out to live in the wild? He said, because I got these elephants when they were babies. And when they were babies, I tied this stake around their ankle, and they weren't strong enough when they were babies to break away from this rope that was tied to the stake. So therefore, in their mind, as they got older, they continued to break away from it. They couldn't do it. And so they tried over and over again and they couldn't. So now they have the mindset that they can't break away from this rope and they can't free themselves. And they don't even realize that they're strong enough to do it again because they stopped trying. What is it in your life that you stopped trying? What is it that you stopped believing yourself in? What is it that you gave up on because your mind is telling you that you can't do it? What you have to realize now is that as your life progresses, you're getting wiser, you're getting smarter, you get more confidence. So I told my kids, I don't care what assignment that your teacher puts in front of you, you will never know the height and the strength that you can go if you give up before you even start, if you give up before you even try. I said, nothing beats a failure but a try, and you will never be a failure or a loser if you never stop trying. So I want you guys to take that in your life, and I want you to apply that to your life. I don't care what your mind has told you in the past that you can't do. You have to believe that it's a new day and you can do it. Now, be self-aware leads to self-management, leads to self-learning, leads to self-leading, and that leads to personal mastery. And you have to lead yourself. What is the one thing that the word self-determination, self-focus, self-discipline, what is the thing that it has in common? The word self. You have to do it yourself. You have to do the work. And I wouldn't be saying this as a hypocrite if I couldn't do it, because I had to do this myself. I've been through this journey, and that's why I can share it with you. Because when I was a young kid growing up in a low-income neighborhood, being a family of divorce, getting low grades, almost dropped out of college my freshman year, I had to have a mind shift. I had to have a paradigm shift. I had to learn the importance of making sacrifices. And I thought that I was going to retire as a PE teacher because I didn't think I was smart enough to become a principal. And now I'm a principal on my 6th year, and I recently earned my superintendent's certificate because I took all my classes and I passed the state test. I have a doctorate degree now. I didn't think that was possible for me until I started believing in myself, because somebody told me to believe in myself and what I can accomplish. And you can do the same thing for yourself. So what's the difference now? How do we have that passion? All right, what's the difference of a person doing a job? This is what a person looks like when they're doing a job, unless it's a job that they love. Now, there's a quote that says, if you do something that you love, you will find that you never worked a day in your life. All right, we're doing what we love, but our jobs are getting more and more stressful. So what we have to do is think about the thoughts that come to mind when we're on a job. And then, doesn't this sound more interesting if we're on a mission? All right, what thoughts and words come to your mind when you find yourself on a mission? And doesn't being on a mission sound more excited than being on a job? Yes, it does to me. These are words that are used to describe a job. You're obligated to it. You get rewarded with pay. It's the same thing, mundane, every day. All right, it's normal. All right, the workday ends. And then you think about your career and you ask yourself, am I qualified for this? It requires work when you go to work every day and you do your job. However, if you think about your life and your life is a mission, what are words that are used to describe a mission compared to words that are used to describe a job? You volunteer to do the mission. You are rewarded by feelings of accomplishment as opposed to just money. Money isn't as important as everybody makes it out to be. All right, where your job is mundane, a mission is exciting. There's a lot of things to look forward to on the journey. And then a job is normal. However, a mission, it's extraordinary. You can be extraordinary once you accomplish that mission. And then on the job, the workday ends, but on the mission, the journey continues. And then it's your life's purpose. And it's not just a career, it's your life's purpose. And instead of being qualified for it, you're made for this. All right. And if you think about a true desire of your heart, something that you really want to accomplish, something that you really want in your life, it becomes a desire. So when you start doing what's necessary in order to get that thing that it is that you want so bad, it's not work anymore. It becomes inspired action, because you're inspired to take the action that it takes to achieve that thing that you really need. And so there's a whole different mindset when you think about Your life is a mission as opposed to you're just doing a job. So what mission is it that you're on? Whether it's a mission when you're working and interacting with who you interact with on your job, with what you're trying to accomplish, what is it that you're trying to accomplish, not only in your career, but also in your personal life? Find your purpose, all right? And your purpose is a combination of what you love, what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and it's what comes hard to a lot of people, but it becomes easy to you. That's what your purpose is, all right? Things that you love to do that comes easy to you, it's your gift. So is being a teacher, a school leader, or working with your students a job, or is it your mission? All right, do you have the determination to complete your mission, or are you settling for less? All right, I want you to take that leap into living your best life and putting your life mission in front of your face. Now, briefly, let's talk about gratitude. Why is gratitude so important in order to receive all the blessings? All right, there's laws to this earth and there's laws to life, just like gravity. All right, what goes up must come down. All right, gratitude. Let's say if I gave two of you, I'm gonna look at you guys in the eyes when I say this. All right, let me stop the screen share for a second. If I gave two people a gift, the same gift, something that you needed or something that I knew you wanted or something that you could benefit from. All right, the first person, they taste the gift, they say thank you, and then they go about their business. But the second person I give that gift to, they say, oh, Dr. Parker, thank you. Oh, Dr. Parker, I really appreciate this. A week later, I get a thank you card in the mail telling me how much they thank me for this gift, how much they're using it, how much it's going to enhance their life. If I have that same gift and these same two people, and I can bless these people with a gift, who am I going to give this gift to? The first person or the second person? Go ahead, take yourself off mute. Who say it? Right, the second person. Why? Because they expressed that they were grateful. They expressed that they were grateful for the gift. All right, think about it, guys. It's the same way in life with our relationship with the higher power. If we're thankful for our health, we're going to get more health. If we're thankful for our finances, we're going to get more finances. If we're thankful for our situation, whatever is good, then we are going to get more of that good. We have to say thank you. We have to express that gratitude, and we have to feel free to give that, to bless more people, because when we put that out there, more comes back. So I spend my time, hey, thanking God for my health, for my family, for wealth. And he knows that I appreciate it. Since he knows I appreciate it, he's giving more to me. Y'all understand that principle? Y'all understand that? Are y'all with that? So spend time being grateful for those positive things, because so many people are always focused on negative things. And we know how misery loves company. We have to tell those people, shut up. I don't want to hear it. Positive vibes only, because I'm going to count my blessings, because I have more to be grateful for than I do to be miserable about. And so count your blessings, because chances are you've been dealt a beautiful hand. So guys, a good person is like a candle. It consumes itself to give light for others. All right. And sometimes we can do that. But the problem is that candles burn out. That wax melts. And so I want you guys to put yourself first. I don't want you to burn out. I want you to burn up with passion. And I want you to live your best life. Here is some of the links to some of the information that I got a lot of this information about that I'm sharing with you today. Most of it is experience, but I don't want to be called a biter or a stealer. So I always like to share my references. And so I'm going to make sure I share those references with you in the chat, so you can also have access to good resources. All right, so I want you guys to burn up instead of burning out. Take care of yourself, and so you can take better care of others, because people want and deserve the best of you and not what's left of you. And people are counting on you. So pour into yourself. And I want to give you guys some complimentary resources. If you like this presentation, you can send me just a quick email confirmation that you like the presentation. Just give me a quick testimonial. And if you do that, you email me your address, I will mail you a Starbucks gift card, or I will mail you a Panera Bread gift card. All you need to do is email me your name, and I will drop that in the mail for you, whether you want a Starbucks gift card or a Panera Bread gift card. Email me a testimony, and I'm gonna get it to you. If you can do that within 24 hours, I'll give you the free worksheet to my reproducibles from my book, Building Bridges. And if you work at a school, I will come to your school and take 25% off of my workshop and do the self-care workshop with you and your staff in person. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. Again, my name is Dr. Don Parker, My email is drdonparker@comcast.net. That's DR, don't forget the period, donparker@comcast.net. Follow me on Twitter at drparker1, and my website is drdonparker.com. I'm gonna leave that up. You guys can take a screenshot of that so you can have that to stay in touch. Send me a testimonial, and like I said, I will get you a gift back in return. Now, I was told that I had to stop at 5:30 because there's an announcement for you guys. Hey, like I said, you guys aren't my blood family, but I said this at the beginning. You guys are my educational family. I love you guys. I want to support you. And I hope that you guys can take what I've shared today and apply it to your life. You have to apply it to your life. Karen, I know you got to talk. Let me say one more thing. All right. My college roommate loves golf, and he is single right now. We're the same age. He's single. And when he plays golf, he's really good at hitting the long ball. I'm really good at miniature golf, so I'm good at putting. I take the discipline to make sure that I'm concentrating on my putt so I can get that ball in the hole. All right. He's been engaged twice, and both times before he got to the altar, those relationships crashed and burned because he had some internal things that would make any relationship fall apart in the future because it just wasn't worth it. And because of those internal struggles, he wasn't able to, go through and follow through with getting married. All right. So why am I telling you this? It's because just like golf, he was unwilling to work on his short game. He was unwilling to finish what he started. He was unwilling to do what was necessary in order to complete something, a work that needed to be done. And so now, therefore, he's living his best life with a wife and a family because he didn't do the work to finish. We have to not only be disciplined, guys, we have to be highly disciplined to go that extra mile that we know we need to go in order to reach our potential to live our best life. And I'm going to leave you with that, guys. Karen, I'm turning it over to you. Thank you guys for your time. I love you guys. I want to keep you guys energized, motivated, so you know that you can live your best life and so that you burn up with passion instead of burning out because of stress. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Later this evening, you'll receive an email from me with a recording link for this webinar, and it will also contain an evaluation link. Once the evaluation has been completed, you'll receive another email that contains a link to your ISB certificate, which you can download or print. The link you receive will be valid for 30 days. Thank you all for joining us, and have a good rest of your evening.